It's another wonderful day in the neighborhood. Alright, I got this shop vac here. It died. Doesn't work anymore. Um, Pretty sure the motor's fine. It's just got a bad connection somewhere. A couple of years ago, something in this switch broke and it wouldn't turn off anymore. It would still run as long as you plugged it in. It would run fine. It just wouldn't turn off with the switch. You had to unplug it. And then it had been that way for a couple of years. And then a couple of months ago, it just quit working. So I suspect that whatever was wrong with this switch is just not making contact at all. I doubt if there's anything wrong with the motor. And but a new shop vac is not in the budget. And I got that one, but I dedicate that one to the joiner. And I've got that one right there, and I could use it, and it works fine. But I usually, leave it over there. And this is the first one that I bought, so I've had it for a long time, probably 15 years or something. And I thought I'd dig into it, see if I could find what the problem is, and jury rig something up where I can just keep using it. Thought I'd find the brake, put some sort of a switch. I'll probably just use a light switch fixture on it. That works fine. And I went to look to see if I could buy a new switch, and they'll sell you most everything on there, the casters and filters and everything, but they don't want to sell you the switch. They'll sell you these two buttons, but they won't sell you the switch. These aren't really attached to the switch, apparently. Now they'll sell you this whole top portion they call the power head for $56. Well, I might as well buy a new shop vac if I'm going to put that kind of money into it. And I'll have all new hoses and everything else. So I'm going to dig into it, and it's either going to get fixed where I can use it, or it's going to go in the trash, because otherwise it's just getting in the way. So here we go. Okay, got the top off, blew it out, and I'm going to start taking it apart. I guess I'll start with this outer portion here, and I'm going to use my handy dandy Sears Craftsman tool set. It's got all the bits that everybody made fun of because, oh, that thing ain't nothing but all bits, 400 bits, you don't get no tools. Well, guess what? It's got just the right bit that I want, a T25. Har, har, har. And so I'm going to start taking those on the outer, see if what that lets me take off. Alright, I wound up taking every last screw out because I couldn't tell which one I needed to take out. Yeah, but it's finally starting to come loose, so here we go. Alright, oh boy, something's fell out there. Oh, that's the float thing that won't let it get too much liquid, because it's a wet, dry vac. Alright, so I'll just drop that in there and set this aside. And, oh boy, we got some more screws. But looks like some more stuff's gonna come out. Alright. The motor unit just came out. Okay. There's the motor. There's the switch. top piece, and you can see these buttons. That's all they are, is buttons. And they just, you press one, and you can see it, and it just hits that rocker. Of course, it looks like it's too far. I don't even know how it hits that rocker. Interesting. I wonder if there was something else in there. I don't see nothing broke. I hear something though. That's probably why it didn't work anymore. That piece there. Of course, I don't know. Maybe this switch is broke. Looks like that piece. Probably rest on that somehow. And then when you hit those buttons on top, it rocks. And yeah, it rocks that back and forth. So could be that piece just fell off and it wasn't even turning it on and off. So we'll go ahead and plug it in, see if it does anything. Do a smoke test. Live. All right. Oh, nothing. Okay. So it wasn't a button problem. Don't look like. Okay, either the motor really is dead or this switch is fried. I just unplugged it. There's nothing, that doesn't look like it's froze up. It moves. So it's not frozen. There's probably nothing wrong with the motor. Let's see if I can dig down in there where I can get to that switch and measure to see if it's bad or not. Still got, here's a screw here. Okay, there's another shroud that just came off. And there's 3 more screws down in there. So far all the screws have been the exact same length, so I don't have to worry about keeping them separated. I'm going to dig down there and get those other 2 screws. Alright, so got the last of the screws out. This popped up like this. There's the switch, on-off switch. This is green's probably a ground. Got 2 red wires going down there to the motor. So I'll get my meter, read across that switch to see if the switch is good. Alright, well, this isn't good news. I've got the switch unhooked from the motor. It was real easy. It's just the connectors there, unplugged. But I measured across the switch. that's open. I mean closed. So there ain't nothing wrong with the switch, and to prove there's nothing wrong with this, prove there's nothing wrong with the switch, I was able to take the two wires connected to the switch and replace them right down where the two red wires were, so got a direct connection to power. And I plugged it in, turned it on, nothing happens, so that's not good, because it may be trash unless I can dig down in there and see if there's a broken wire someplace, which I don't know how they got that motor in there, because there's no more screws, and only thing on this side, I got this nut here. Could be if I take that nut off, motor might slide out. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but I don't see any other way that it's in there unless it's press fitted, you know, and snapped into place where you'll never get it off or get it back out without breaking some plastic tabs or some. It may be trash. You may not ever see this video because I'm just going to throw it in the garbage. We'll find out. Okay, so at this point I've determined the switch is good, and now I got to get down in there to see if I can see a break or whatever, but I got to figure out how to get this motor out. I don't see any more screws, so I decided I'd take this off. I didn't want to because this fan is just some thin aluminum or tin or something. I was afraid I was going to bend it up, plus there's nothing you can really grab onto the shaft. So anyways, I stuck a screwdriver in there like that, and I figured, well, I'm either going to tear it up or get it off. So anyways, I was able to get that loose, and it wasn't torqued on there too bad, so I didn't bend up this fan here. And once this is off, I see two more screws, so that had to come off whether I wanted to or not. So now I'm going to take those two screws out and see what happens. The only two screws that's different from the rest. So now, yeah, the motor's gonna fall right out now. So there we go. And it looks like there's another bushing that needs to go there. I'll just put this nut on here and keep it from losing it. Alright, now I can finally see the other side. And let's see if I can find a break or something here that maybe can be repaired or something. I mean, it doesn't look bad. So, I don't know, let's get the meter out here and see what we see. Alright, whatever that is could be a culprit. That's probably some sort of maybe a fusible link or something. See if that reads anything across there. It doesn't. So that could be the culprit right there. There's where this is where the power comes in at, right here. You've got one that goes to the windings. One wire goes over to whatever this is, and then to the other side of the windings. So more likely the culprit is that. And if it's a fusible link or some sort of a thermal coupler or whatever, I'm not going to be able to replace that because there was no parts available for anything other than the whole power head. So I might just do something bad and just jump that and forget about it. Jump it and forget it. And if that fixes it, I'll just go with it. And if the thing fries and burns up, I'm not real worried about it because I'm crazy like that. Of course, the safety inspector would give me a bad grade if they found out I was doing it, but I ain't real worried out here. So the thing gets hot and I don't care. It's only going to be on when I'm using it. If I see smoke, I'll hit the switch, and that'll be all that matters. So let me jump across that and see what happens. Okay, got me a piece of wire and my soldering iron. Naturally, I can't recommend that anybody do this because it's probably some sort of a safety hazard violation to jump this link right here. But I think I'll be all right because I'm crazy. All right. Now let's measure across it, make sure we're getting continuity, not a cold solder joint or something. Yeah, we got it. All right. So, and there, see, I'm measuring across the coil here. I'm getting continuity. So, while I'm at it, I think I'm going to solder these two wires here on this plug here because they're just like pressed on with those tabs, and they get a lot of soot and garbage on it. Wouldn't hurt to solder that down too. There. Alright, let's, of course I can't test it with it sitting there like that, or the thing would jump clean off the bench and be flying all over like something crazy, so I gotta put it partially back together, then test it. Alright, it's time for the smoke test. Got the motor all back in the housing here. There's the on-off switch right here. So let's give it a try. Okay, let me turn the switch on over here. Ha ha ha. Alright. Alright. So that's what the problem was, that fusible link or whatever it is died, and I just jumped across it with a piece of wire, and I'm going to put it back together. Now the trick is to see if I can make the switch on the top work, because it had this piece here that fell off or did something. It's rocked right there, and it's not glued on there in any manner that I see. So it may be a trick to get it back together with that staying on there. I might be able to tape it. Could put some tacky cement on it or something. Don't look like there's any residue at all, unless there was some sort of a clip, you know, where it clipped in there. Maybe that broke off at some point. If I can't get that switch to work, then I'll just rig up a light switch and or I can just plug it, you know, make sure this is on and just plug it into the wall like I've been doing the last few years. Probably what I would do is leave that in the on position and mount a an external switch on the outside of the top. That's what I would do, just leave that on if I can't get that to work. So I'm going to put it back together now and see what happens. I'm ready to put the motor assembly back into the top here. There's where the switch is, and there's that lever, and I put a little bit of glue on there and put some electrical tape over it. I don't know if that's going to stay. If it doesn't, I'll take it apart and I'll just wire in another switch. So drop that in there. Is figure out. I guess it just sits in there like that. Yeah, and the cord sits in them little guides like that. And alright, now I gotta put the other piece on. This piece sits over top of that. And secured with 2 screws. Okay, now time for the final assembly, and I can tell which way that goes because there's 2 screws there and there's 2 holes right there. And I forgot how this float went on there. Couldn't remember if it was open at the top or bottom, so I looked in my other one over there, and that's how it goes. Hard to see in there. Okay, now it's just a matter of putting all these screws in. And there's a bunch of them. Alright, time to put it back together. I usually have a bag in it, but I don't have a bag right now handy. Needs a new filter. I did blow it out, but it needs a new one. But I don't have one of those handy either, so that can wait. Alright. Now, let's drop it back in here. We can wet this one. Plug it up and see if it still works. If this switch doesn't last, then what I'm going to do is get a light switch and a plastic box made for light switches, and just maybe screw it up on the handle, something splice into it like that. Put the box up here, screw it down, and be done with it. It'll work just as good as that. But let's see if that works right now anyways. Cut the light switch off here. Alright, here goes. Another mission accomplished. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, if you even watched it at all.